I appreciate what you're doing, and it's got to be pretty discouraging with the administration that you have in Albany. I've gone up there a bunch of times, Eric have, and we spoke, and to me, what's disappointing is this isn't about a county, it's not about a state, it's about the United States of America. When I see what Governor Cuomo is doing, playing politics with it, I know in Bradford County, if you don't live near a gas infrastructure where you can hook on to natural gas, you're either cutting wood, carrying coal, or you burn fuel oil. And with fuel oil being $4 a gallon virtually, this is horrible what's going on in our country. I mean, we're now the #1 gas producing country in the world. We have the Balkans, we have oil now, they have oil, shale oils in Southern California, we have the Keystone Pipeline with the sand oils in Canada, and yet our administration in Washington, and there's no Republicans or Democrats in this issue either, because you won't hear very many people like myself and our people from Bradford County that say that we believe in hydrocarbons. We believe in coal and gas and oil and conventional and unconventional extraction of it. Our country needs it. I can't believe that we have 48 million people on food stamps, and God bless a bunch of them that really need them. I'm the chairman of the Bradford County Salvation Army Service Unit. We're a volunteer organization. Hey, I got compassion for those that are sick and are down on their luck. I really do, but 48 million, really? And yet we're willing to let our senior citizens and our working families turn their thermostats down and go cold every night. We're willing, guys like Andrew Cuomo are willing to take and let people's goods and services bankrupt them. I mean, this is insane. Yep. And, I appreciate your guys' fight. I've got a message from Michael Caputo tonight, who ran Palladino's campaign. He's working with Donald Trump now. I told him I was coming up here to speak. He said, encourage him, Doug. He's in Western New York State. He's worked in the Bush administration. He's done a host of things in his life. He's a sharp guy. We've worked with him in Bradford County. You have a video on your website. And I just can't encourage you enough to fight. We're just over the line. We're here for you. We look over the line to the border to New York State. We can only hope that this guy stops what he's doing up here. This is insane. The gimmick and dimmick is one of our friends Brandon took the focus off everything. Look, we expect safe and responsible development of our natural resources. And if an energy company takes and they make a mistake or they do something, we expect them to fix it. But to have what went on down there and all the hoopla that went on when, really then the EPA gives, a clean bill of health to hydrofracking and things, folks, I don't know where we're going. And my question is, what else is there in our country? What else is creating jobs? What else is creating revenue? We cut taxes, eliminated our debt in Bradford County off natural gas. How's the budget in New York State? How's the budget in Albany? How's Cuomo doing? I mean, we look down there and we just can't even believe it. And really, we used to joke, well, we'll keep the drills down here, but it's not funny anymore. We feel bad for you folks. We really do. The thing that gets me is that don't get caught up into this, greedy landowner stuff. Because, we just went through a post-production fight with Chesapeake Energy down in Bradford County. And finally, our governor, who tried to do it behind the scenes, a gentleman, respectable way, weighed in at our rally that we had at the courthouse steps last Friday. And he said that he hammered him. We're not going to tolerate it. We support the development of Marcellus Shale, 100% development of hydrocarbons, but we don't support everybody that does it. We have great operators down there, Talisman Energy, Southwest, Chief's real good. We have EOG. We've got great operators. I don't mean to make light of what happened to Dimmick. It's serious to those people, but to exploit it and try to ruin the development of Marcellus Shale when our country needs it the most, to me, is terrible. But Cabot's doing a good job over there now. They got some of the biggest wells in the world that they're producing. In the world. Right across the line. Right next to Bradford County. We have wells that are doing well. So I'm here to encourage you tonight. We're here to talk a little bit about Bradford County. We're here to talk a little bit about our organization. Because remember, this isn't about a county or a state. It's about the United States of America. It's about our country. I don't know. I came up with a Marine tonight. And I went to see, and he went to see it before me.
Lone Survivor.
The Lone Survivor. How many people have seen Lone Survivor? People funding the Taliban isn't the Tooth Fairy. We know who's funding them. It's Iran and Saudi Arabia and what's going on in Syria. You know, and all the things that are going on in Russia. Russia hates us. Russia funded Josh Fox. So did Saudi Arabia. You know, we have our military over there. I mean, this is about national security. I just am shocked that more elected officials, Republicans and Democrats, don't stand up and start taking a battle for this country. Yeah.
I also would like to introduce Eric Matthews. Eric, could you stand up for a moment just to say hello to everybody? Eric's also known as the Sandman in the video that we have posted on the website now, Borderlands. So we got a celebrity here tonight, folks, aside from being a Marine.
Well, you know, in all seriousness, though, we're like dogs in Bradford County who travel in packs. I mean, probably didn't lucky we didn't bring 2 carloads with us, you know, tonight. But we do. I mean, we're passionate about. We've seen what it's done in our county. We're seeing what's doing in our state. The billions of dollars that are going into a state-starved budget for the development of natural gas. And then, you know, we look up here to you folks. We can only encourage you and tell you that, you know, whatever we can do to help, please count on us. Because, you know, our people would work up here too. Your people work down there. You guys know that some of your highest sales tax revenues came during the height of the development of shale. And that it goes in cycles, but there's lots of great jobs that stay there forever. You know, forever being within our lifetime and our kids' lifetime. So anyway, what we'll do is we'll go through, and oh, by the way, on that video, the fellow came up and shot that from North Carolina. And this is what just makes me mad about the environmentalists and elected officials so damn afraid to stand up for American energy. They came up there, of course, they got this distorted view of, because of the people in Dimick, not the people, but the people running down there like Yoko Ono and Susan Sarandon. They can't be running around beaches anymore. They got to run around Pennsylvania in the gas fields. But, you know, they've distorted the view of our beautiful area. We took the Carpenters Union from Albany. We went up there and spoke, and I offer everybody a pickup truck tour, wherever wants to come down. It's not a cherry-picked event. We don't do industry tour. You know, you're not going to cherry-pick where you want to go. We'll take you where you want to go, whatever you want to see. So the Carpenters Union came down. You know, Bradford County is pretty much a non-union shop. You know, unions are good. But these people came down, and it was odd, because they came down, and of course, we're at the opposite end of the political spectrum. But what they said when they left after that day, and they're looking for work for the people. One of the union stewards was from up here in Broome County, I believe. What they said was, this isn't what we were told. And they went back to Albany, and they wanted to get a group of legislators to come down and do a tour so they could see what it was. We hadn't heard from them. The most dangerous thing with the development of our energy and how badly our senior citizens, working families are depending on the development of that energy, and everybody knows it affects everything from when you brush your teeth to you go to the grocery store to you cannot afford to fill up your vehicle, is these elected officials that are too afraid to stand up and say, I support it. Well, we've got a bunch of them, and we take heat too, but you know what? It's all worth it. So what we did was we put together a slideshow. I'm not real good at doing slides because it can be boring, and I'll try to move through it. But we've later on the slideshow, you'll see we organized a group of counties and commissioners in energy producing counties, and it's called America's Counties for Energy Independence. A terrific group of people that are working throughout the United States. But what we needed to do was we needed to put, you'll see pictures of our county, which is just across the border. It's the same as up here. It's beautiful. But we put together some pictures in there to show people, you know, we're going to show you the map, and then we're going to show you what it looks like from up on our peaks. So to disprove anything that we hear, you know, that's just got a distorted view of our county. But what's going on, folks, is that a lot of the extreme environmentalists are bypassing the federal government and the state government, and they're going down to the counties to scare elected officials. It's sad. We've gone out, we work with commissioners in New Mexico. And some of these environmentalists that come out of Pennsylvania go out there, and they actually, in some of the poorest counties, people don't have enough money to buy lunch. Yet they talk them into banning everything from energy development to industry in general. It's just sad. So anyway, we'd like to go through this, and we're going to do the best we can. There is a picture of our county, and that's how developed it is. We've got about 550 units. About 2,000 wells. There's about 1,000 miles of pipeline. It's going in every day. It's stopped right now because of the weather, but permitted and installed about 1,000 miles, about 500 miles of hundreds of miles of underground water lines. You know, it's really terrific. Those underground water lines They do the freshwater impoundments, they keep a lot of trucks off the roads. We have about 20 compressor stations that are either permitted or built. We have about 100 of those freshwater impoundments just over. We have about 50 freshwater withdrawals on our rivers and creeks, and never had trouble with any of them. Yes?
What's the yellow?
Well, what the yellow is it's color coded. Yellow is Chesapeake, red is Talisman, purple is Southwest, the light green is EOG, the dark green is Chief. They're the operators in our county. Shell is a little bit, there might be a shell or two over here, but they're primarily in Tioga County. So that's the way it's color coded. I wish I'd have brought up some maps. It's really good. When you look at all the development down there, and you see, I mean, are there problems? Yes. Are there a lot of problems? No. But to see that kind of development and to, you know, to have it, I mean, if there's a lot of problems and the Susan Sarandas, the Yoko Onos were right, remember, not one water well has ever been affected fresh drinking water by hydrofracking, not one in the country. It's been done in New York State for decades. There's hundreds, you know, just tens of thousands of them over generations. It's been done in the United States. It's not a new practice, as you know, and they even hydrofrack freshwater wells. I mean, all you folks, I'm sure, are aware of that. But not one time has a water well ever been affected. And that's what makes this, what's sad what happened in Susquehanna County. Because the neighbors, as you know, they wanted the development, and there's, you know, the stars rush in. And one of the problems with that is, too, is the extreme environmentalists do hurt. In our county, I've seen it actually hurt people. Because what happens is that, you know, because of all the, you know, all that's going on, when we all know that, you know, the methane in the water is nothing new. And a lot of people tried to sensationalize, the stars run into Dimmock, and they do all that. Then when somebody really has a problem, the neighbors don't believe them. We've seen that, and it's sad. They hurt a lot of problems. So anyway, but we expect to do about 800 billion cubic feet of gas this year out of Bradford County. Isn't that great? You know, we're so proud of that down there that we're going to help power the country. And I know someday you folks will too. It is, you know, again, it's not about a county or a state. It's about our country. And when you talk to people, and Eric will back this up, yeah, people want the, you know, they're looking for the revenues for themselves and for their families and retirement. But I'll tell you, it doesn't take long, and they start talking about what it means to create revenues for their state, their community, and to power their country. Is not that right, Eric? It's patriotic. It's just wonderful. So if you'd hit the next one, please. We've had the most drilling activity of any county in Pennsylvania, and we're a leading producer, and we're real proud of that. And unemployment at 8.5. Eric really could speak to this better than anybody. Eric, would you take a minute and tell these folks how hard it is to hire somebody?
It's very difficult because those that are qualified, that you want to have as an employee, already have a job, okay? So, you know, you do your best to work with those that society may deem a little less desirable, that have had their problems, have learned rough lessons, and you have to deal with them and work with them. And I've got some, if you've seen the video, I've got some young men that have made some mistakes, but they're working hard and giving them those opportunities. But you know, 5 years ago, when you said you had a job available, you had 40 guys standing there trying to fill out applications, and it's not that way now. It's hard to find somebody that.
So, I mean, the bottom line is you want a job to go to work. I mean, that's the best unemployment rate that you can get. And incidentally, back to the map, you don't go back to it, but the map of Bradford County, we have about 36,000 parcels. We're the second largest geographical size county in the state, 36,000 parcels. Almost half of those are 1 acre and under. 70% of our population in Bradford County live on 10 acres or under. So, you know, the point there is this is about working family property owners, taxpayers. It's about retired people. You know, we have 1,700 policies on 100 acres or more. You know, because when people listen about royalties, they think, oh, it's just landowners wanting to get rich. The average royalty in the United States per narrow is either between $400 and $600. The average royalty receiver is over 60 years of age. We're not talking about a lot of money, but we're talking about money that can be a game changer in everybody's home. Whether you got a couple acres, whether you got an acre, you know, or whether you got quite a few acres. It's a game changer, and that money goes right back into the local economy, and that's one of the problems that we've had with one of our drillers. Just a little more stats, about 50 freshwater withdrawals, 113 freshwater impoundments. We're up to about 700. See, it changes. Technology is just terrific. but the temporary water lines, takes roads off the trucks. And, you know, in the early part of development a few years ago, we saw about $300 or $400 million worth of full-depth reclamations to our roads. That's you know, that's asphalt and ditches and berms, drainage and everything. So a lot of the, you know, they destroy the roads. Well, our roads have never been better. And I will tell you, the township supervisors down there have had their roads fixed beyond their wildest dreams. And so we're very thankful for that. This is just an idea of this Terry Township. This is where my, we have 3 commissioners, how Pennsylvania works. We oversee the entire county. But my colleague Daryl Miller lives down there, just to give you an idea of what it looks like with the drill units. And that's what that area looks like right there from one of our high points. You can't see it, there's no scars. And it's overlooking the Susquehanna River's right down there, it's just beautiful. The total number of permits in the state is just self-explanatory. And again, you know, we did this when I went to New Mexico because, you know, New Mexico's got a little bit different landscape, obviously, it's more barren. But the reason why we put these pictures up is because we're not scarred, and it is beautiful, and it remains beautiful. In fact, you know, the wildlife does great with natural gas. I mean, the pipelines are great feed plots. The companies will put turkey feed on or whatever you'd like, deer food. I mean, it has not slowed them down a bit. And again, you know, you can look out through Terry Township there, and you don't see any scarring. And again, we look at doing about, it says 331 billion cubic feet. We'll be around 800 billion cubic feet this year. Susquehanna County is just cranking out gas. It's just amazing how much gas is coming out of our area. And again, I know if you folks stay persistent, don't get down, our neighbors to the north, our brothers and sisters in the north, you guys be doing it too. Again, it's just an aerial of our county. That's Troy Borough. That's another thing. You know, a lot of the misconception, again, is, you know, it's just large property owners. No, it's not. Bradford County, we own 1,000 acres of ground. Bradford County does. We have parks, we put money in our parks and stuff for everybody to enjoy. But we have, we're receiving royalties in Wyalusing Borough, which is about the same size, a little smaller than Troy Borough. So everybody benefits. And of course, I don't have to tell you folks that money goes right back into the local economy, and it just, you know, sales tax and income tax, and we don't need to raise any more taxes. It just really, in fact, you can talk about cutting taxes with it. And again, that's Troy Borough from one of our county parks. Looking down, Troy Borough's right down over the side there. Again, no scarring. You can see that I'm not a big fan of windmills, but you can see the windmills on Armenian Mountain over there, and there are a pile of talisman wells up on Armenian Mountain. Again, it's just some of the stats. That gets 600 miles of gathering lines. That's moved way beyond that, but in the 20 compressor stations. Act 13, one of the things I want to kind of warn against, I'm not a tax guy. I believe in less taxes. We've cut our taxes, and smaller government and all that. We just don't say it, we really do it. We're not campaign conservatives. But you know, in my opinion, one of the dangerous things, again, are elected officials that are too cowardly to stand up and say they support development hydrocarbons. But the other thing is you got to be careful is you don't fall into the trap of appeasing the environmental, well, we're going to tax them. Well, you know what? I mean, to me, we fought the Act 13 tax because they dumped so much money in our county. It was a blessing. I mean, $400 million in our roads. They put our people to work. They took my friends and anybody that had an ounce of ingenuity in them and some, you know, some basic good old American capitalism. They found work, they did things. It was just a tremendous blessing from God himself. But we did get the highest disbursements of Act 13. The companies kind of did it a little bit differently from how they fund money into the roads and stuff. They rely a little bit more on the state and local governments, but still. Again, that's just some statistics. On the jobs and stuff, but in a little bit of, well, the real estate too. I mean, that's another thing. We had, you can't even count, like $100 million worth of assessed value to our county. I mean, it works. You know, so now there's, you know, school district collecting taxes. My point about the taxes is I just ask you not to get caught up in it, because if you let that, the wheels of that energy development churn when it comes up here, there's going to be taxes everywhere. People put money in their home. You drive down through Columbia Township, which is the most drilled out township in the state, or you go over in the eastern part of the state, you're gonna see new roofs on barns, new machinery. You're gonna see people, small parcels, rebuilding their houses. Well, they're not buying that over the internet. They're buying that in local hardware stores, lumber yards, and machine shops, and it really works well to put it back into the local economy. And it's awful hard to quantify the amount of jobs. And by the way, when we were at the height of our development here a few years ago, our welfare office, the workload was down. And what's encouraging about that is, we never hear that before, but what's encouraging about that is that people really do want to go to work. So our welfare office, Social Security office was taking on work from other counties. Talk a little bit about America's Counties for Energy Independence. I'm really excited about this, and you know, I would hope that you folks would go back and get your, I think they're called legislators, is that what they are for county commissioners? Is that the equivalent in New York State? Get them to join. Yep. You know, we have commissioners. It's for, and you don't have to be an energy producing county to join. We want everybody, but we have Jim Womack in Lee County, North Carolina, as a member, as a board member. They have a small shale play in his county. We have commissioners from Texas, New Mexico, and Louisiana, all kinds of different shale plays. We have working with ones in different parts of the country, different parts of Pennsylvania. We're still new, but we're a standalone organization, and we're all about hydrocarbons, conventional and unconventional oil and gas exploration. And that gives you, we're all familiar with that, but you know, we have Barnett, Fort Hayesville, Marcellus, and San Juan basins throughout the United States. I'm going to Montana to go up to speak to those folks here soon. And again, I mean, isn't that beautiful? I mean, when we're thinking about our young people overseas, and when we look at that, we think to ourselves, you know, the best place to hit those jokers are in their pocketbooks. You know, Iran, there's supplying terrorism with money, Saudi Arabia, and our old friend Putin, who just hates us because of the energy. Let's not forget that he marched, I think, tanks into Georgia over a gas line that went into Europe, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, you know, Putin's ready to kill people over energy. We're willing to kill ourselves over it. It's just insane. But it's a great. And I'll be honest with you, energy commissioners are the nicest people, and they're strong. You're not going to get the runs put to them by some extreme environmentalist showing up at a meeting, you know. And the funny thing is, when you look at, when we go out west, these people developed energy their whole life. I mean, shale energy is fairly new, but they all look at the Marcellus in the northeastern United States. It's pretty amazing. Just some of our counties that are board members. One of the couple of things that we try to accomplish as America's Counties for Energy Independence, we want to keep all regulations state-based. And I know it's probably not good news for you guys right now, but it will be. And we want to keep the federal government out of it. Because, you know, there are other states that are sane. And I think that I just pray that, that you folks, that Cuomo maybe is forced into discussing this nonsense about hydrofracking and the hysteria that's been created. And quite frankly, he's not doing it on his own. I mean, they've got, how many elected, is there any elected officials that would stand up and say they support the development of gas and oil completely? Now, that doesn't mean you support everybody that does it. Again, you know, we all demand safe and responsible development of our natural resources. That's a must, protecting our environment. I mean, there's got to be some strong men and women that stand up and say, you know what, we need this. Our country needs it. Can't be selfish and we just look at, you know, just look at ourselves. This is about the United States of America. You know, I mean, we promote all these things. It's education to education with counties. You know, we just recently had this incredible post-production problem down in Bradford County where we had one company that was taking all or most of people's royalties. And it was just sad. It was actually disgusting, to be quite frank with you. Cash that starved company, making the rest of the operators in our state look bad. We've got good operators. But they helped, my friends throughout the United States helped me. They were in shock. They helped me. They educated me on how best to handle it. And they were a big support.
On to the next one. Which one, Doug?
I don't know, just pick one, we'll talk about it.
You've done this before.
Pressure's on you, Brad.
Not really, I mean, this is, it's all new for us, and to try to pack 7 years of the biggest blessing that I've ever seen into any time, and we could talk about it all day long. And, is this a new one, or is this a
New one.
okay. Nope, go right back this. It's just, again, it's just about our county a little bit, but, we love to talk about the good news of energy development. I mean, I do. We'll travel anywhere, we get asked to go, we go. And, because we know it's been such a blessing. And I hate to waste time talking about the environmentalists, we can't be afraid of them, because energy development is terrific for the environment. I mean, it sounds stupid, doesn't it, of what you hear? But our subdivisions of our farms in Bradford County are zipped. There's nobody busting the farm apart anymore to survive and to try to hold on to that farm with no subdevelopment. Isn't that great? So all open space and greenways are kept intact.
You show that drilling, you got the most in the country, is it?
State.
Okay. You still got that high number of drilling activity, or?
I think, well, permits, I think we might have had, like Homing County might have went ahead of us on permits, but when you take wells, we got about 2,000 wells, we're still quite high.
But that's
on
still
that.
drilling.
Yeah. Well, we're seeing rigs come back. That's the other thing, the boom or bust.
Right.
That's what they love to say. Well, what, so what?
And that's my question, the basis for my question is, will those guys come north if the opportunity is there?
Got gas?
Got gas?
They're coming. And that's what our jobs are.
Is the dry gas less of an incentive for them than the wet gas, or?
Well, here's the one thing that I've learned, is I don't believe, anything that I hear and only half what I see. And, we got, in our people, because that's the other thing, we have local people now that are working. So the out-of-towners, yeah, they come in with some drills and they'll leave. They come in with some frac groups and they'll leave. But the bottom line is that our people have gotten trained up. And there's people from New York State that's gotten trained up too. But, kind of what I do is just try to, what you folks are doing here tonight, I go to every meeting I can. I listen to the common threads and I draw my own conclusions. And most generally, you can draw them. But, it's kind of a non-answer to a question, but the rigs are coming back, the price of gas dictates to it. You got wet gas out in western PA, then there's a question of, what kind of volumes are they getting in Ohio, West Virginia, and you can hear everything. And in western Pennsylvania, I think it's just parts of Washington County, maybe Greene County.
Green, just south of there.
Yeah.
It really is more concentrated in the very west corner.
But guess what, our gas is ready to liquefy, it's ready to ship. I'm an exporter. You know what? If we can put a burr in that Middle East or Putin's backside by export and compete with those on a worldwide market, count me in. Because someday we will have renewable energy, I think. America put a man on the moon. We certainly will come up with affordable energy for people, but until then it's hydrocarbons. And you know what, with me, if we can compete with these clowns that are hurting our young people and people my age that are fighting for us, that's just terrific.
I just read in the Philadelphia Inquirer where you can't use rig count to decide what's going on in Pennsylvania because they've actually gotten so much better at drilling.
Yeah.
And they can drill farther underground than ever before.
And that's the thing that, and that's why really we need to take the focus on developing the shale, and really in safer, I keep saying it, safe and responsible development, because the technology is screaming along. Hydrofracking screaming along. It's really, they're doing a better job at that every day. What used to take, I think, 45 days for down a mile and out 3,000 or 6,000 feet, so I'm now doing 15. So that's less rigs. But the price of gas dictates everything. It's up over $5 today, and that was kind of the gauge. And you know what? We're seeing rigs coming back in, but the jobs that are left behind are a lot of them. Well tenders and pipeline people. And there's just a vast amount of local jobs that'll stay there for as long as the gas is there. And there's a lot of people who've gotten trained up and travel. So, yeah, it's still some of the same stats. Compressor stations, we haven't had I think I've only had about one complaint on a compressor station. It's just the way that where they put it in the hollow. But our industry really has done, I think Tom Corbett, myself personally, has done an absolutely fantastic job on the environmental side in the Department of Environmental Protection in Pennsylvania. I think we're in a new phase now. We had the rally down in, on the courthouse steps, and Governor Corbett was very scathing to Chesapeake Energy and their practices of hitting the landowners because maybe they can, because they love a law battle. But it's time for us, I think, to reconvene this Marcellus Shale Commission, what they did on the environmental side early on, and start looking at everything beyond the drill, so we get a handle on all the, you know, the financial ends of it. And again, it's the tax money. Just a bunch of statistics. The rentals are, I think we're gonna back into it. You know, the housing and stuff, what's that?
Next presentation, huh?
Yeah, if there's anything new in there. Nope, that's it. You know, just real quick, and I'll take some questions. Michael Caputo is a guy that Eric and I got to know. He lives out by Buffalo, and he's really terrific. He's a sharp guy. He is an energy guy. Like I said, when Palladino ran against Cuomo the last time, we tried to reach out to him to get him to come down here to right across the border and look at energy in Bradford County, and just, you know, who knows how many counties there are. There's 5, but there could be more across the line, but he never took us up on it. So I called Michael up, and we've gotten to be pretty good friends, and, you know, he is very good at what he does. And he is working some, I believe, maybe have a discussion with Donald Trump. But he gave, I asked him to put a message to you folks about the importance of your work. And I know that you feel right now that, you know, you're David going after Goliath. But for God's sakes, don't give up. You know, and that's another thing. I mean, I look at, in the last 7 years, I really look at things a little bit different. I mean, this energy is given to us by God himself, in my opinion. It's come at a time our country needs it the most. He's given us the technology to extract shale from a mile underground and get energy that we need. And basically, in my opinion, he's saying who's for me and who's against me. It's a battle. It's a battle for our country. When you look at our seniors that are struggling to stay in their homes because of high property taxes and they can't afford to fill their cars up or to heat their homes or goods and services, you guys know all this. It all starts with natural gas and oil and coal. And I'm in shock at times of what we're doing as a nation to the people we say, as elected officials, that we care the most about. And with Governor Cuomo, I'm ashamed that he would do that to good people, especially rural people. But here's the message. He said, I think it's very important for you to speak in the future meeting of the Joint Landowners Coalition in New York on this issue. They are the most important citizen group in New York. Now, this is a guy that, trust me, he knows. I mean, he's working with, top-level politicians that are running. So it's just somebody that isn't sitting there writing something to say. They will foment change in Governor Andrew Cuomo's energy policy. Nobody else can even come close. Unfortunately, it looks like these good people are losing faith they should not. Cuomo has expended every excuse at his disposal to delay economic prosperity associated with safe and natural gas development. As a political operative, I can tell you he is now in a box. He has no more excuses left, and the political cost of being impedient to systematic job creation are coming home to roost. As an advisor to Donald Trump, I can tell you that natural gas development will lead the Republican campaign to defeat the governor. Westchester County Executive Rob Astorino, who is itching to get into the campaign, is well versed on the issue and has pledged to make it a centerpiece of his campaign. Trump, for his part, is also considering a run against Cuomo, and I can promise you this issue is at the top of his hit parade. Both potential Cuomo opponents are true believers in this boom. Both blame Cuomo for the landowners' conundrum. Both will take every effective swings at him on a campaign trail. One tactical problem with the telegraphing these campaigns punches both candidates. Fear Cuomo will cave on fracking. I'm having a hard time seeing this. This is right. Fracking and take this issue off the table. I believe they are correct. Let me read that again. Both candidates fear Cuomo will cave on fracking and take this issue off the table, so he doesn't have to face in the election, I'm sure. I believe they are correct. When the campaign starts this summer, Cuomo will find himself in a pickle. Upstate will be blamed directly for holding up tens of thousands of jobs in real property tax relief. That's important because Cuomo craves a 60% victory to launch a presidential campaign. If he's held to modest numbers upstate, he will not get that landslide. If the governor continues to screw 70,000 New York landowners, a modest victory is the least of what will happen. If Donald Trump runs, Cuomo could very well lose. As an insider, I can guarantee you that a Trump candidacy will revolve around natural gas development. I believe that to fulfill his own political aspirations, Cuomo will embrace his only out. He will drop the moratorium in September and start regulatory development. It's the kind of move that will breathe fire into a limited campaign. Additionally, the CEOs I work with at the National Job Creators Network are watching the coalition's recent court action. Please tell the coalition members that their battle is our battle, that their resilience is inspiring. Most important of all, please tell them the cynical politics that have moved Cuomo to leave them high and dry will also force Cuomo's actions. Still, the most effective action all energy-conscious New Yorkers can take is to vote for Cuomo's opponent in November, whoever that candidate will be. I think the message is don't give up. We're with you across the border. You've got other people that are with you. You know, just stay fired up and stay moving forward. So, can I take any questions? Either one.
Go ahead.
The impact fee, is that scared away operators?
No, it didn't. Well, how you going to tell? I mean, Chesapeake paid $50 million, I think, wasn't it, the first round? Well, then you got to wonder, now all of a sudden, why are they taking out landowners high? So
That's just Chesapeake, though, right?
that's just Chesapeake. We've had, I mean, again, I mean, only listen, and you can only believe what you hear, but I know from one of the companies, they got very discouraged or pissed, and they took their rigs and went elsewhere. And I don't blame them, because they hit them hard in Bradford County, because we're the most developed county, so, you know, it's like giving yourself a blood transfusion from one arm to the next with a hole in the middle, you know, and just losing everything right out of it. That's exactly what they did. I mean, they take, when you start talking taxes, there's supply, I mean, they're gonna pass it to their customers. And you know, the thing is that when I look at all the prosperity and growth that we've seen in our county, we did not need to do that. You know, I mean, I think there's about $4 billion been put into the state coffers just off income to our friend, one of our really good friends is the Secretary of Revenue. And it's hard to quantify this stuff, but he is working to find out, A, how much money Chesapeake's taken out, send into Japan, send into Norway, send into Oklahoma City, because every Chesapeake well has a bunch of different operators in it. But, you know, there's nothing more heartwarming than to see people see new roofs on barns and new machinery under their sheds, you know, people with a few acres and all that, goes right into real estate taxes, you know how it goes. And, but at any rate, there has to be a balance, and that's what we hope our governor does, who I think has done a really good job, is take a look at that balance and find out, you know, what makes good sense. Where is the breaking point? Fair to the property owner, fair to the operator, keep the development moving forward, and that's, I think that's the magic question. But I think it hurt us. I think there's fact to back that up, too.
That 8.5 unemployment, they compare it across the border, the environmentos, and maybe you can explain a little bit more about that. I know that I'm 70 miles away, and there's a dozen people that I know that are working every day down in Pennsylvania, but maybe you can tell me a little bit more about that 8.5. It is high.
I mean, it's just, I mean, you know, I call them daters. They're people that want to show up to work, and he puts up with them, you know, and because he hires a lot of people. The people show up. You know, it used to be when I went to work on construction for Lane Construction on dams over in Tioga County, superintendent told me, he said, Doug, I expect a day's work for a day's pay. Well, that whole statement's changed, because they want to work a day for that pay that day. And that's who's not working. So, you know, if you want a job in Bradford County, you're going to find work. And to me, that's the best unemployment rate. I mean, I don't understand, you know, where they come up with that, but, so, if you want to work, you can go to work. So to explain it And I'll tell you, right across the border, as a county, we have about 750 employees. We hired our HR director from Binghamton. He's out of work. We get people that come down there from across the border that want to go to work. I mean, it's just, and it's needless, to be honest with you. And you know, when you look at the borderland tape, and they did that, it was to help New York State, show what it could be. You know, and that was sent, I think, to all across the United States, the CEOs and stuff, to say, look, this energy it's here, it's staying, it's the rescue of our country. But, you know, we want New York State to do well too. Because we can come up here and we can go to work in New York State just as easy as you guys can come across the border if it gets developed. But the problem is, one of the things that Cuomo's doing, the longer he waits, the more other people are getting trained up. It's going to be harder to get in the field, I think. So it's just, what he's doing to this state's terrible. Yes.
With companies like Neil Giles out of Vestal and other quarry companies that are in New York, do you have any idea how many New Yorkers are working in Bradford County?
I don't. It's hard to, again, all these, you can tell anybody what you want. I mean, as far as to quantify it, I mean, we try to keep our handle on it as a county with a terrific economic development authority down there, Central Bradford Economic. We've traveled, we're on information overload 9/10 of the time. It was just, but you can't get your hands around it because there's a lot of work. Of course, now it's slow because of the weather. But, I mean, there's rigs coming back. So, and it just isn't about the drill. It's about everything else with the drill. You know, it's about your restaurants and your hotels. It's about, you know, it just spins off so far into the economy that it really is neat, to be honest with you. You know, I was in business when I got out of high school. You know, we did trucking. You know, we've had restaurants, we've drive-in theaters, we've done everything. I've never seen so much opportunity for people who want to get off their couch and go and come up with some ideas. It's just terrific. But can't put a number on it.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
How many acres in most of your drill units, and how many of those drill units are fully developed?
If you could put that back, if you could go back to that. Eric, you might want to help me on this. Like Southwest, I think they're probably they're all over the place. You have drill units that are 400 acres, you have drill units that are 1,000 acres.
That's right.
My guess is, you know, the 1 square mile, 640 is where they, is kind of where they stuck to, and they tried to enlarge them. Most of these these have, you know, they tangled up the leases by development. They drilled them. So there's a lot of people that are getting, they're starting to see royalties and stuff, but there's a lot of units that, you know, are not flowing gas. But you take the purple, Southwest, they're getting developed up. They'll be mostly developed. Talisman, they're going back and they're going back on. They're over in Susquehanna. I think they're bringing a rig back. They're going to start going back on and developing their pads and their units. So
Do
it's
most of them just drill one and then come back and drill more, or they drill in more than
it's
one
all
leg
over
at
the
a time?
place.
If I could, the purple, all the purple is developed, and most of that right now sits with 1 or 2 wells on it. And the rigs are coming back. A company that I work for right now for their business development, I actually was supposed to start tomorrow because of the weather. We're going to put it off till Monday or Tuesday, but we'll go to work for Southwest. They're going to have our crew with 2 other companies that do the same work. Once we start next week, it will be nonstop for the next 9 months. And what we're doing is they're coming in and they're drilling out. You know what they call drilling out? They're coming in and they're going to poke all the holes they need on that pad and move on. We're going to go in and hook those wells up.
So they'll finish each unit as they go.
Exactly. That's the plan today. That's one thing you have to remember is what you hear today changes an hour from now. But that's their plan, absolutely.
And that's Talisman?
It's hard.
It's
really,
Southwestern.
Yeah, it's really hard. And Southwestern's been a terrific partner in Bradford County. They really have.
Everybody I'm working with there is from Pennsylvania, and a lot of them are local guys. The boss that my crew will work for has only been in the oil field, gas field for 3 years, but he's a local guy, and his 2 foremen are local guys, and they've got great jobs, and they'll be there retiring on this work.
So it's really a tough question to answer, but because like Eric said, I mean, it changes by the day. And, you know, it's all geology driven, but hey, you know, one well produces gas, one well pays royalties, and the royalties come back to the local town.
Yeah, has PA passed a law, Doug, about open flowback water pits? I read something, I think, where I can't remember if it was the companies that backed off from that, or is that PA statute now that they can't have open flow back there?
I will tell you this, I've got a report, I don't know if there's any in Bradford County that I know of. We haven't had any, and I don't think that they should allow them. I mean,
Yeah.
evaporation pits are what you're talking about.
Right.
You know, the operators down there have, done a good job, you know, as far, and that's the other thing. I mean, we have a water recycling plant right on Route 6 that is getting opened up. I mean, that's another myth. I mean, these people don't want to be buying water. They want to be able to treat it and reuse it and reuse it and reuse it. So, I don't know, but I know that in Western PA that might be a practice. I don't believe that if it is in Northeast PA, I don't know for sure if it is. And I just hope that they don't need to do that. Now we have our fresh water, you know. You know how crazy all this is too, because of the environmental side. A freshwater truck that gets water for fracking, hydrofracking out of our, fracturing out of our, we all need to start saying it right too, by the way, me included, but out of our creeks and our streams and rivers. If they have a drip on the back of that truck, they put a catch pan on it. It's fresh water, just come out of the river. I mean, that's how environmentally sensitive that they are. I mean, the redundancy in the environmental side of drilling has been great. Chesapeake does a fantastic job environmentally, they really do. I mean, these companies are just as redundant of all the, and then they're forced into doing some of the craziest stuff like that. They have a guy on drills and fracs that does no more than go around the hose, and if there's puddles of water, if it's raining, he sucks that water up and it's gotta be dispersed. So they're very, very environmentally sensitive.
What's this green area down here?
That's basically state game lands, it's out, it's not developed yet, but there's a mountain ridge right down through here, and these units actually go out underneath the mountain. You know, Bradford County, we have 1,000 acres, and we've made a commitment. We have 3 parks. We have a park on the river. We have a park up on, right up in here. That's right in here someplace. And we're putting money into them for everybody. And you know, I mean, there's good things that can be done with the revenues from all this. In the Act 13 money that we get, we made a commitment that that we're going to benefit everybody in Bradford County with that money, whether it's economic development to bring jobs in that we're working on right now. In fact, some of them are leaving New York State, unfortunately. They're looking at our county, and or whether it's cut taxes, reduce debt. We're looking to put a first responder training facility in for the people that are ambulance or fire, police. So they're the kinds of things that we're doing.
Doug, with some of the issues you hear now with, you know, power, everybody looking for more electricity and everything, what's Bradford County doing to move forward?
Well,
Perhaps as drilling slows down, you're actually building to bring on that next boom.
well, I'm glad you brought that up. We have the first Marcellus fired, I forget, about 800 meg power plant in his Island Townships, just under that, by Panda Power that's being built. State-of-the-art, air-cooled. That's a great point, Dan. And down in Lycoming County is the second one they're gonna be doing. That's $1 billion they're putting into Bradford County. Marcellus, and you know, I don't want to, for the life of me, I do not get your governor. New York State uses a pile, you guys don't either probably, but New York State uses a pile of gas. Cornell University's all going to cogeneration plants. Yeah, he won't let you develop it. We're not gonna be using all that electricity right in Bradford County out of that power plant. You know, they're putting another one down. I mean, this is just fantastic what's going on. And to play politics with people's lives, people's jobs, the cost of energy and goods and services, I mean, and the cost of filling your tank up, I mean, it just makes no good sense whatsoever. In fact, but thanks for the question. I'm glad you brought that up.
Have you had any industries talking to you about coming into Bradford County?
I just got off the phone with Tony Ventello before I came up here this afternoon, and yeah, there's actually 2 from New York State that are looking to come down in. There's one from Texas that's looking to come down. You know, I'll tell you how kind of, and again, I'm pretty happy with our governor, obviously. But DEP, Department of Environmental Protection, I was out in New Mexico speaking with some of our friends from our national organization, and I get a phone call, and I pick it up as Dan Biello from DEP. And the week before that, we had they do some sand reclamation on the wellhead. And it's some new way that they do it, and the company's in Calgary. And one of our friends that I met through, and this is the other thing, is business to business with this organization that we're in. One of my friends, Judge Teal from McLinko County, Texas, had a friend that worked for this company in Canada. Well, he knew us, and the company in Canada called, the guy's name was Tommy Saunders, called him up, and somebody invested money into their company in Calgary. And they said, get down into the Marcellus and set up shop. They put a lot of money in it. So Jim called me up, Tom comes up, people come down. We had him at our meeting. They're talking about, you know, opening up a shop and do their sand reclamation, all this. And DEP read that in the paper. You know what they said to me? I couldn't even speak. Dan said, Doug, if there's anything we can do to help you get that company in Pennsylvania, you let us know. Can you believe it? Would they say that in New York State?
Sounds like gold.
I couldn't speak. I said, what did you say? And he goes, I read in the paper you had this, and he named the company. He said, if there's anything we can do to help them along, you let us know. I said, that's just incredible. And that's, but you know, but that's still about, you know, it's still about protecting the environment. I mean, they're not gonna let people roughshod, but hey, we're all in this together. And the ex, who was a friend of ours, the ex-secretary of DEP, believed in follow the science, follow the law, and then let's find a way to get it done. And Americans, well, how are we doing that? So, but any other questions?
Did the PA court system recently rule a certain part of the legislation unconstitutional, and where is that going? What are your thoughts on all that?
Well, I think it had to come down with, basically what it was is that they didn't want to be able to let townships outlaw drilling in their townships.
Right.
And look, you know, I'm a private property rights guy. There's discussion about, you know, about forced pooling. You know, I don't want to get into that, but I'm going to just tell you this much. What the hell is the matter with us? I mean, we need the energy. So I don't understand, you know, exactly what the courts thought. I mean, the courts also said that, you know, that 4 years ago that they could dip below the 12.5% guaranteed minimum royalty, which caused all the stuff at Chesapeake. Well, the problem with that was when our good people signed those leases, and this goes along with that, that safety net was in there. So landmen said, well, you know what, you're going to get 12.5%. The Commonwealth said we guarantee it. Courts pulled it out, and bam. Next thing we know, we have people getting nothing. So it's just like with this. I'm not smart enough to understand it, but I'm smart enough to know this, is we need to develop this energy for our country. And so I hope it gets worked out.
Chesapeake is the only company that's done that, all these other.
Well, it seems to be Chesapeake and their partners. And Dan, it's weird. You know, I don't want to bang on them 100%. I'm mad as hell at them for what they're doing for property owners because it's uncalled for. But it's weird. Some of the companies have taken a ton of money away from our people. And you can get into all the particulars and all the arithmetic about it, but it really comes down to they're allowed to do it, or they think they're allowed to do it. So we've had some of those companies actually write checks and send back to the property owners. It is all over the map. You know, our governor tried to he tried to work peaceful with the new CEO law because Aubrey finally got the boot with him, and it just got worse. And I think the governor asked you if it's gotten worse, and it's gotten worse. So, you know, consequently, that's why I don't know if you folks read the statement, but our website, if you want to read a statement from a governor who's done a terrific job with the development of our Marcellus Shale, but how now he's telling this one bad apple to knock it off. But it seems it's those partners in that well. We have another company that's been a little heavy-handed too, but I'm sure they just got the message. And Talisman's been the gold standard. They take nothing. And they're in the most drilled on township in the state, which is Columbia Township, right there, and they take no post-production costs.
Most of the leases that these people have now, are they leases that were generated by the gas companies?
Well, that's a good point. That's our national organization. That's one of the things we want to do is try to work with counties like us that we're vulnerable. You know, good people sign the leases with bad leases. But the problem was they had that guaranteed minimum royalty in there, which said, you know what, have your fun up here on the different percentages, but you're not going to drop low. So, but we've seen the companies just have a disregard for leases too, no matter what they say. So, and, you know, the trouble is they got lots of money, deep pockets, and not all of them. It's just a couple. I don't want to paint the whole. I'm a supporter of the development. I don't want to, you know, I support natural gas development. I don't want to ever say anything contrary to that. But however, if you get a bad apple, they need to be taken care of. I mean, it's just like you support, you support the good ones, and you help them, and you prosper with them, and you work with them, and then the bad ones you need to punish, and that's what the governor just did.
Yeah, does Bradford County have any, like a Bureau of Weights and Measures that verifies the meters
That's
on
a
what
great-
they're really producing?
Excellent question. That's why, we've asked the Lieutenant Governor, Jim Culley, this is kind of weird too, he's from Bucks County down by Philly, and he has been absolutely 100% terrific with the development of shale, Jim. They had hearings early on called the Marcellus Shale Commission, and that's what I said earlier, that Pennsylvania needs now to do everything beyond the drill, to look at that issue. No, nobody's watching it, and they need to. You need to look at what is in the post-production, because again, I mean, the industry says, hey, we gotta take post-production costs, and the landowner says, what the hell, this is what we signed up for. So somewhere in the middle, is the answer, quite frankly, because if they're telling the truth, then we wanna see it develop. But that's part of it, is the metering, is everything beyond the drill, and we as Pennsylvania, need to look at it.
One thing I wanted to mention to you is, definitely we've got the video going here. The antis now, and Vic can testify to this, are now saying that you're anti-gas.
Who's that?
The activists.
That I am?
Yes, that you are.
Well, look at, I will stand anywhere and support the develop, and I will say the development of hydrocarbons, gas, oil, and coal, conventional, unconventional. And you know what? All that didn't come because I was fighting them. But I'll tell you one thing, I was elected by the people of Bradford County, not by the gas industry of Bradford County. We have terrific operators, Talisman, EOG, Chief, Southwest, terrific. We've got a bad apple. And you know what? We'll correct, it's a glitch. We'll correct this bad apple and we'll move forward. But nope, I support it with, and the thing is, Dan, you've been down. When you see the prosperity and growth and the development through the good old fashioned way of, of just capitalism and everything that goes on with that, and people, being able to have hope, farms and things like that, and then you see that revenue go back into the system, and you see a cash-strapped Harrisburg get $4 or $5 billion over the last year. I mean, how can you not get excited about that? And when you see us maybe, and Michael actually, he has a little bit of insight into Russia, and Putin is not happy in our shale development. You know what? That makes me happy, because let's not forget, he isn't the great guy everybody that Obama thinks he is. He is an ex-KGB agent, is what this guy is. And those people play for keeps, and so does Saudi Arabia, and all those Middle Eastern companies, or countries rather. So, no, I'm far from anti-gas.
Another question just to ask, and this map's really interesting, I like that. From what we're hearing, and I've had for, now the companies are actually consolidating. And you can see that on this map.
Sure.
They're getting areas where they've consolidated. As leases start running out, landowners are having a real hard time. I've heard Talisman's been pretty rough on people. Releasing and coming back, they try to go back to their company leases. Sign-up bonuses have dropped right off because there's nobody else to talk to, because they consolidated in those areas. Are you seeing that a lot with this?
It's supply and demand. It's PRICE price. And that's what it comes down to. I know people just signed the Friendsville leases, $5,650, whatever it was, just this week. Re-up. And then you hear of and it comes down to the geology. I mean, where's the good pockets? And they're going to develop all that first. So, I don't know if I buy into that discussion, because, I mean, the price is going to drive it. We start exporting natural gas. They're going to, I don't know. Eric, you had something?
I would just say that, we have friends that started businesses. Doug had a business, ice business, okay? During the summer, you're gonna sell all the, fellow that bought that, had 20 tractor trailer loads that he had to sell this summer.
Yeah, my son had it.
Yeah, his son had it. How many tons has he sold this winter? Okay, it's a supply and demand. What happens is, I know, for example, EOG. I don't personally have any dealings with them, but some of my friends are talking to them right now. There's some that need to be released, and there's some that have never been leased. The bonus money is at around $1,500. And it's not the $5,000, it's not the $7,000. It's around $1,500. It is competition. That's where, you know, the prices got drove up. That's the environment that you're gonna deal with. It's capitalism. It's, you know, it's supply and demand. If you think you can hold out and get a little more for it, you know, that's what you can do. But I think it's misrepresented to say that they're heavy-handed. It is what it is. I mean, is your land more valuable to another company next door? Would you rather, I would much rather, at this point today, if my land was sitting on the line between Talisman and Chesapeake, I'd take the lesser deal of any bonus money from Talisman before I sign with Chesapeake. Okay? But it comes to the royalties. You know, yes, it's nice to have that cash up front, but you want the best deal is the royalties.
Comes
That's where
down
you
to
want it.
percentage.
Yes.
In Talisman, I'll tell you what, I mean, they've been the gold standard in our county. I mean, they take no deductions. You know, if you go over and talk to Jim Van Blark from American, I mean, they have nothing good to say. They hire the nicest people. And we've had a great relationship with them. And, you know, I don't know about their leasing stuff, but hey, you know, it does. It comes down to where the gas is. It comes down to a whole bunch of factors that I'm not smart enough to understand. You know, availability to gathering lines, pipelines, transmission lines, all that, compressor stations. You know, and right now there was a glut. You know, there's no storage for gas. I mean, they put the loop system in to hold more gas. I mean, it's so many different things. All I know is this: it's been a blessing to our county from God Himself. I truly believe that. And that I think the supply and demand makes today, geology makes today. But the gentleman had a question about the metering, but I think it's time for our state government. I'm not a regulation guy, that's not what I'm saying. But somebody needs to really study this. I think Governor Corbett has a complete opportunity, you know, the complete opposite of Cuomo. He's got an opportunity to show cutting edge leadership with all those different shale plays in the United States to protect the landowner, you know, against heavy-handed post-production costs and pull together, you know, some kind of a systematic solution to take a look at everything beyond the drill to help property owners. Because at the end of the day, our goal really is to develop this energy for us and for our families.
I think the biggest difference between Pennsylvania and New York is you don't have forced cooling in Pennsylvania. We have compulsory integration in New York. A gas company can easily tell a landowner who's not in a unit or thinking about being in a unit, fine, we won't lease you, and we'll just make our unit configuration around you, and you'll get nothing, and that's life. So you're sort of forcing the landowner in PA to take a lower royalty or a lower sign-on bonus because what's the choice?
Well, if you get closer, you'll see some holes in that. It's crazy because, you know, and again, it's shale. I mean, you know, that was done with the Trenton Black River and I don't know, all the other formations and stuff, and now we have shale. It is different because that shale goes across the whole county or whatever. And look, I agree with you, but on the same token, you know, I just think we need to study and come up with a good solution because we have people that won't lease. And the insane part is, you know, they can't stop those fractures at a line, and you know, so they could be losing their gas anyway. And again, I mean, you know, I can't. It just dawned on me, you know, earlier this summer, you know, because we go out and talk about, because we're proud of our county, we're proud of the people in it. It was crazy down there, and these people held the wheels on. It was unbelievable, is what it was. But it's not about a county. I keep saying it's about a country. It's not about a state. I mean, it's about the United States, and you know, you drive by these gas pumps, and how are working families doing on average incomes? You know, if you can't carry coal or cut wood and you're not next to an after, you're buying fuel oil in northeastern United States. $4 at record highs. What the hell are they doing it? And yet you have guys like Cuomo sit there and play politics with these people's lives. And so anyway, I'm just a strong believer that we need to develop it all, and it's just for the good of our nation.
What else are they drilling besides the Marcellus there? And are they drilling some of those other plays underneath it at this time?
What do you want to hear? Again, I mean, we hear everything, but I guess there's different levels of Marcellus. I'm not a geologist, but we've heard oil, we've heard everything, but all I do know is this: they're drilling Marcellus shale, it's flowing, there's some terrific wells down there. But, you know,
if you follow the permits, I mean, the permits are very specific.
And they're for Marcellus now?
It's Marcellus in the northeast, and there is some Utica in the western part of the state, and of course out in Ohio, right on the border of Pennsylvania, is very successful Utica wells.
You know, you'd think that Chesapeake could be smart enough when they want to go lease